Hi again. I'm just going to go back to lesson 1. So we're just going to continue. I gave you 3 examples earlier, and now we're just going to continue. So we said we always try to find the restrictions. So, and the restrictions are the x values that make the denominator or the bottom 0. And here it's very hard to tell. Maybe here some students, they say, oh, it's plus or minus 4, but if it's here, you will not be able to tell. So always the best thing to do is, or what you have to do for this question here, factor the bottom. And also factor the top. And here is just the greatest common factor. So 4x, and I get x plus 4. The factoring of the bottom is just the difference of squares. Difference of squares, if you have a binomial, a perfect square on this side and a perfect square on this side, between them a negative sign, and that's important, between them a negative sign, not a plus sign, then you could just factor it this way. So you put x on both sides, the square root of 16 is 4, you put 4 on both sides, and make one of them negative and one of them positive. So at this stage, I could tell what my restrictions are. X cannot equal plus or minus 4, because positive 4 will make this 0 and make the whole thing 0, and then also negative 4 will make this 0, and then the whole thing will be 0. So these are the restrictions. But at this stage here, simplifying, just reduce x plus 4 with x plus 4, and the final answer is 4x over x minus 4. And some of you students who are tempted to say, oh, I'm going to cancel this x with this x, you cannot do that. Because I'll give you just example with numbers. If I have 3 over 3 minus 4, that will give me 3 over negative 1, because 3 minus 4 is negative 1, which gives me negative 3. However, if you decide to go 3 cancels with the 3, and then you end up with 1, and that's 1 minus 4, or whatever you're going to do it, you'll end up with 1 over negative 3, which is wrong. So that's why you cannot just reduce the x here with the x. The same thing, you cannot reduce the 3 here with the 3, because that will give you completely a different answer from where the right answer is. So sometimes you could always resort to numbers to be able to tell if you could do something or you cannot do it, you know. You apply it to numbers. If it works, then yeah, you could do it. If it doesn't work, then no, you cannot do it. Yeah, and that's how we always check ourselves too. So this is your final answer. This one here, already easy on the bottom. I could tell x cannot equal 2, because the 2 would make the bottom 0. Okay, my 2's look like a Z sometimes, so just a 2 there. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna factor. So this will factor into x. 2 numbers multiplied to give me negative 6, and add to give me 1. That's x plus 3 and x minus 2 over 2 minus x. Now, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, and 3 plus negative 2 gives me positive 1, and that's how you factor. But that's a different lesson altogether. Now, this and this, again, as I mentioned in the lesson 1 previously, that if they're written backwards like this, there's only one condition that you could reduce both of these, is to make one of them equal negative 1. And therefore, the answer will be negative 1 times x plus 3. So just negative brackets x plus 3, and that's your final answer. Now we'll come to this, and here the factoring is going to take a little bit of time. Okay, so the top, we're looking for what multiplies to give us negative 6 and add to give us 1. Multiply 6 and negative 1, that's what we're looking for. Multiply, so it give you negative 6, and then the 1 right here, that's what it's supposed to add to. And the 2 numbers are that do that for us are 3 and negative 2, because they multiply to give me negative 6 and add to give me 1. It's a different way of factoring. It's faster and it saves you time. If you like it, use it. If you don't like it, still do decomposition. Okay. I write x plus 3, x minus 2. Doesn't stop there though. And the reason is 3 times 2, negative 2 is negative 6, and I don't have negative 6 there. So this is just a different way of doing factoring when you have a leading coefficient right here. Once you do these steps and you get here, you have to remember there's a 6 right in the front, and that's what you have to divide both of these numbers by. And this will end up giving me x plus 1/2 and x minus 1/3, because that's reducing the 2/6 and the 3/6. Once you get here, it's better to write it as just push the 2 in front of the x there, so it'll be 2x plus 1, and push the 3 in front of the x there, and become 3x minus 1. So that's what the top reduces to, 2x plus 1 and 3x minus 1. And you could FOIL it again to see if it gives you that, if you want to double check. Now, I am going to factor this as well. So that one will be more like, so don't confuse them together. So 8 times -3, what multiplies to give me -24 and adds to give me -2. And that is -6 and 4. Multiply to give me -24 and add to give me -2. So you could write x minus 6 and x plus 4. And then you have to divide by the 8 that's in here, both numbers. So that's by 8, that's by 8. This will give me x minus 3/4 and x plus 1/2, reducing. Now just push the 4 in front of the x there, so 4x minus 3. And this one push the 2 where the x is, so 2x plus 1. So therefore now, what I have on the bottom here is 4x minus 3 and 2x plus 1. I'm gonna write my restrictions. So for this one, it's x cannot equal -1/2. You could look at it in here as well, like x plus 1/2. That means x cannot equal -1/2. Or just take the 2x plus 1, make it equal 0, move the 1 to the other side, becomes -1, divide both sides by 2. That's how I got there. So sorry, I'm just going a little bit faster. But that's so, and this will, x cannot equal 3/4. So we just make it equal 0, move the -3 to the side, 3, and then divide both sides by 4. So these are the restrictions. And then now you could reduce this with this, and your final answer will be 3x minus 1 over 4x minus 3, your final answer. I'm just gonna erase the stuff that I've done here. So I'm just gonna maybe erase number 5. So I have space for the last question that I'm gonna do with this lesson 1 in chapter 2. So let's just do a different color, blue. Now I'm just gonna take this right here and I'm gonna start answering it. This here, what multiplies to give me -3 and add to give me +2. I don't have to go through this since I don't have a leading coefficient that I cannot factor. This is 1. When the leading coefficient is 1, it's just easy way of factoring. You open 2 set of brackets, you put x in each one, and then 2 numbers multiply to give me -3 and add to give me 2. That's +3 minus 1. But the thing, because we have a y squared here, then we should stick a y besides the 2 numbers. And then if you fold them, trust me, they'll give you this. If you ask, there's a y here and what happens, just foil this, it will give you this. And then you confirm to yourself that what I'm doing is right. Okay, this one is leading coefficient, that's 2. So now it's 2 times -1, that there's a -1 right here. So what multiplies to give me negative, multiplies to give me -2 and adds to give me -1 because there's a -1 there. And the 2 numbers are -2 and 1. They'll multiply to give me -2 and add to give me -1. So this factors into x plus 1 and x minus 2, these 2 numbers right here. We have a leading coefficient that's 2, so I put a 2 underneath here and a 2 underneath there. And this 2 that we cannot divide, so I'm gonna push the 2 in front of the x, so 2x plus 1. And this 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's just gonna become x minus 1, and that's what I have down here. So 2x plus 1y and x minus y. Of course, there's a y squared here, so I just want to bring that to your attention. So we have to have a y here and a y there, and that ends up giving me a y here and a y there. I hope you could see this. So the restrictions here are a little bit different. So I'm just gonna write this right here, x plus 3y over, oops, and x minus 1y. And I have 2x plus y and x minus y. And I'm just gonna erase this here so I have enough space to do my restrictions. The restrictions are not as obvious here, so you have to do a little bit of work. And the restrictions, basically, you have to say 2x plus y on the bottom has to equal 0. Solve this for x, so 2x equals negative y, divide both sides by 2, so x cannot equal negative y over 2 as one of the restrictions. And then the other one, x minus y cannot equal 0. Move the negative y to this side, so x cannot equal y. I know it's not numbers, it's variables, but that's basically what the restrictions are. And then after this, you just look at what binomial is the same from the top and the bottom. Is this one, cancels with this one. And the final answer is x plus 3y over 2x plus y. I am done. See you later. I'm gonna go home. Bye-bye.